Hi, Bother Brigade. Here's what's bothering me today. What the fuck is up with Virginia? I ask because there was some news there recently, we probably all heard of it, about the massive snowstorm that blanketed it and several other states. And thankfully, as that headline shows, the worst of it is now past. However, some really weird stuff went on during that crisis. Some really unhinged stuff from the right wing, such as this since deleted tweet. Today in DC, they knew a snowstorm was coming for days. Apparently, Black Lives Matter, but the lives of people driving in a snowstorm don't. Oh boy, where to begin? Imagine waking up in the morning and choosing racism. This is apparently a journalist named David Brody, and I think he also hosts some like Christian news television show. Anyway, not important. What's important is how he tried to cover his tracks with the subsequent tweet. Congratulations to those who have misunderstood my words. Not surprising on Twitter. I'm not talking about black people. I'm talking about the BLM movement and the support they get from the DC government. Settle down, trolls. Again, dude, what does that have to do with you being stuck in a snowstorm? I'm in Canada. We get stuck in snowstorms all the time. Doesn't mean I'm sitting around there like, ugh, goddamn black people. Like, what? Blame it on a movement and the support they get still doesn't change the fact that you decided to be racist and insensitive during a snowstorm, which, you know, those are things that happen and then people clear them out, which brings us to, unfortunately, some more absolutely unhinged shit that people on the right were saying.
I want to point out one thing that I do not believe has been said yet. I talked to a state legislator there in Virginia, and he pointed out to me that in the last several years, many on the left made a decision that local sheriffs should not be allowed to have military-grade equipment, right? Because they said that that was a bad symbol and that it was too militaristic and authoritarian. But imagine if they were still allowed to have the equipment that they had just a few years ago, it probably would have come in very helpful today.
That was apparently some lady named Dana Perino saying that the I-95 traffic jam happened because the left won't let cops have military-grade equipment. I fail to see how letting cops have, you know, military gear, that's not, you know, for snow clearing, by the fucking way. Don't see how that would somehow result in the improvement of this situation. Even the host that you know, hear but you don't see is kind of like, even he doesn't know how to respond to this absolute fucking lunacy. And, you know, again, right, she is talking about, oh, you know, this can be blamed on the left because they won't let cops have tanks. Tanks don't clear snow, lady. Like, what absolute garbage are you on? I think maybe the fact that the corruption for the Department of Transportation in Virginia is kind of more to blame than, you know, Black Lives Matter, according to David Brody, or cops not having military gear, according to this lady. So, you know, the main thing that happened here with this I-95 story is some big trucks crashed, and then that caused the backup, and that's why people were stuck. It also goes a little bit deeper than that. With I-95, I can't help but think back on Virginia Department of Transportation officials sentenced in an $11 million bribery scheme for secretly taking cash bribes to award snow removal contracts. Huh, isn't that interesting and maybe something these chuckle fucks on the right should have mentioned? All 7 defendants testified corruption was rampant and part of the culture at VDOT. Yeah, you know, pretty sure that the open and rampant corruption, especially giving cash bribes for snow removal contracts, probably had a much bigger role to play than BLM and cops not having, you know, tactical gear. You absolute fucking ghouls. But, you know, it's not surprising that they wouldn't talk about the actual causes of this pileup, right? I would expect nothing less from shit-heeled right-wing douche canoes like these two jackasses. However, mercifully, there is a moment of absolute beauty that came from this pileup. A couple stuck on I-95 in Virginia saw a bakery truck and had an idea. We didn't think it would actually work. So that clickbait headline from USA Today is about a really inspiring story where a couple from Maryland saw that they were behind a bakery truck from another Maryland-based like bakery, like large industrial bakery company. And by this point, because again, this pileup went on for like 27 or 30 hours, right? So they did not have any food in that time. So people around were very hungry. they decided, well, you know what if we just find and call up this company and try and get them in touch with the driver of this truck and see if we can get permission from the company to just have this driver open up the truck and just freely distribute bread to these starving people stuck on a highway because of, again, cash bribes by VDOT. And you know what happened? The company said yes. Maryland bakery driver Ron Hill empties his truck and hands out hundreds of loaves of bread to motorists stranded overnight on I-95 in Virginia. One motorist, "It was the best loaf of bread I have ever eaten in my entire life." Two people caught in a crisis, starving, decided, hey, wait a second. A thought has occurred to me. There's a bakery truck right there. Let's call up the relevant numbers, because thankfully we have cell service. And let's just see if, we can just get some food to starving people. And apparently they heard back from the leader of the company itself, who said, yeah, absolutely. We're going to get on the phone to our guy and he's going to open it up. And that's where the driver, Ron Hill, comes in and just says, yeah, all right. Yeah, no, great. Absolutely. Let's do this. And bread was distributed to hundreds of starving motorists. That is a beautiful reminder that humanity is worth protecting. But the humans who caused the pileup through their negligence and open bribery and corruption, they are scum and they do not deserve our sympathy or support. Neither does this David Brody person or this Dana Perino lady, who are just saying the absolute most ridiculous, unhinged shit and trying to blame stuff on, the weather and the pileup, rather than, the actual cause, which is bold-faced corruption in Virginia. But unfortunately, even, the good news part of this story that was making the rounds, oh, look at this good wholesomeness that came from the I-95 crisis. Yeah, that's good. And I'm not trying to take away from that. But, the fact that that's part of the story that's upheld, and also the fact that these two unhinged people were being talked about, and I'm just contributing to that goddamn problem, right? But those are the two parts of this story with the I-95 crisis and the pileup. That's what's being talked about and getting noticed and getting attention, not the open and blatant corruption in Virginia's Department of Transportation that directly caused this crisis in the first place. And the fact that that's not the story is definitely what's bothering me today.